Korach, ideas in the realm of Gematria from the Parshah and Zohar for the Geulah. Article 1. In honor of Parshah's Korach, which is my Bar Mitzvah Parshah, I'm starting a new series which is in addition to the series of the realm of Gematria from the Parshah and Daf Yomi. And I might go back to that, I might switch it off, I might go a few weeks on one, a few weeks on the other, but for now, I'm switching to this new series called Ideas in the Realm of Gematria from the Parshah and Zohar for the Geulah. Article 1, Parshah's Korach. The Zohar for Parshah's Korach is found on Daf, which is page number 176a, in the text of the Zohar, although a part of page 176a contains a small amount of content from the previous Parshah of Shalach. This is the text from the end of Zohar Shalach, which is last week's Parshah, on page 176a in the Zohar. Rabbi Chia said, "Why is the Exodus from Egypt mentioned in this passage?" Meaning the last portion of Numbers chapter 15 that we read every day during Kriya Shema. It's the Parsha of the Tzitzis, and it mentions leaving Egypt. That because when they went forth from Egypt, God brought them into this portion of the commandments, and therefore he admonished them thus. That's Zohar Shalach 176a. This brief passage of the Zohar seems to be showing a connection between leaving Egypt and receiving and keeping commandments of God, who was redeeming them from there in order to keep them. Why would this passage be included on the same page as the new Parsha of Korach? Is there some link between Korach and Egypt? To demonstrate a numerical connection here, it should first be mentioned that Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg, a Chabad rabbi and one of the highest level Kabbalists and mathematicians in this generation, has advocated a type of Gematria that is calculated through permutation. For example, 153 can be read as 351, or 513, or 531. In short, any combination or arrangement of the numbers can be associated with any other arrangement of, let's say in the case of a 3-digit number, there are 6 different combinations. For example, 123, 132, 213, 231, 312, and 321. Those are all in the same category, same file, if you will. In a teaching of his from a video that I saw some time ago, if my memory is correct, he traces this practice to the Baal Shem Tov. The numerical value of the name Korach is 308. And if we use this permutational gematria, the word for Egypt in Hebrew, which is Mitzrayim, has a numerical value of 380. So now we have a connection between Korach and Mitzrayim. That is, in permutational gematria, 308 is 380. It's the same category. There is a connection in digits, and to take it further, the difference between 308, which is Korach, and 380, which is Mitzrayim, is 72, which is the numerical value of the word chesed, which means loving kindness. The implication being that Korach was still less than 380. You can see it that Mitzrayim, Egypt, is over him. In other words, had an influence over him, since 380 is higher than 308. So the power of Egypt in terms of din and judgment of Moshe and Aaron, Egypt meaning Mitzrayim, Makom Tsar, a narrow place, and this can be equated with din, the quality of judgment or something that is strict. And this quality came into play in Korach's life when he had in a sense, judged Moshe and Aaron, the side of chesed, of kindness, might have been the necessary ingredient. In other words, 72 might have been the necessary ingredient, chesed, to balance Korach against the klipot, the evil forces of Egypt. 72 plus, meaning chesed, plus 308, Korach, equals 380, Mitzrayim. So if Korach had 72, had that chesed, it would bring him up to a level where he would be equal with Mitzrayim, where he could counter those forces. But if not, as we see now, in its current state, 380, Mitzrayim is actually over Korach, and therefore had an influence over his actions and these forces that may have still been active in him. Ancient Egypt was known historically for its mystery schools. Egyptian mystery schools focused on understanding the universe through studying ancient spiritual texts and practices. Mystery schools formed a closed society. Initiation and membership was not open to everyone. Initiates had to commit to arduous study and training. The letters of the name Korach can be rearranged to form the word chaker, which means to investigate, or to deeply and thoroughly look into. At his core, Korach was a Talmud Chacham, a studious and ambitious individual who may have had altruistic motives, at least in the beginning. This could be equated with the desire to obtain the secrets of the universe sought after in the mystery schools of Egypt. Perhaps this is why the last portion of Parshah Shalach is on the same page in the Zohar, which is 176a, as the beginning of Parshas Korach, to show that in that last portion in Shalach, which we read every day during Kriyas Shema, states, "V'lo sasuru achrei levavchem v'achrei einechem, asher atem zonim achreihem." Do not wander following after your hearts and your eyes, which the tendency is for you to stray with. Numbers 15:39. This might have been the thing that turned Korach from a healthy spiritual ambition to a self-destructive lust for power and rebellion. The very desire to become high priest demonstrates a noble aspiration on the part of Korach. In other words, he was a man of lofty and holy aspirations for spiritual accomplishments. This aspect certainly serves as a model for us to emulate. Moreover, Hasidism explains Korach's rebellion in context of the future redemption. In the prophecies of Ezekiel dealing with the Messianic era, there is a puzzling expression, HaKohanim HaLeviim, meaning the priests, the Levites. It puts them together as one group. Ezekiel 43:19 and 44:15, mixing, as it were, these two separate concepts into a single one. Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Arizal, explains this expression by stating that in the Messianic era, the Levites will be elevated to the higher status of Kohanim, priests. Korach wanted to benefit from this already in his own time, and he sought prematurely to achieve that status. Here again, this desire and aspiration is essentially good and commendable, and, in principle, should be emulated by every Jew. Korach erred, though, by assembling his followers to rise and rebel against Moses. He thought that by doing so he could, as it were, force the realization of the redemption before its time. He did not realize that it could not happen until the refinement of the world would be completed. Have a great Shabbos.